From the moment humans first drew symbols on clay, the impulse to chart the unknown has been irresistible. Maps are more than guides. They are mirrors of perception, vessels of imagination, and sometimes guardians of forbidden knowledge. But what if some maps contain truths that should not exist? Traces of cities and continents erased from history, etched in a parchment and stone long before anyone was supposed to know. What if hidden across libraries, monasteries, and private collections were pieces of a world that mainstream history refuses to acknowledge? This is the mystery that has fascinated scholars, adventurers, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. Vanished cities written in maps no one believed existed. Our story begins with the Piri Reis map of 1513, a fragment of a world that seems impossibly advanced for its time. Its delicate lines and measured coastlines suggest a precision that 16th century Europeans should not have possessed. Yet there it is, depicting lands that some claim are not even supposed to have been discovered for centuries, if ever. To modern eyes, it is both beautiful and unsettling, a fragment of truth slipping through the cracks of recorded history. Scholars have debated it endlessly, but no consensus has emerged. Was it simply a coincidence of geography or a deliberate attempt to encode knowledge meant to be hidden from the masses? Maps like these serve as silent witnesses to a past that refuses to fully reveal itself. Consider the enigmatic Orance Fine, the French mathematician and cartographer of the 16th century, whose maps depict coastlines and islands that later explorers failed to find, or perhaps were not meant to find. His drawings suggest knowledge that predates conventional exploration, as if some civilizations, long forgotten or deliberately erased, left traces only in ink and parchment. These cartographers, often shrouded in mystery themselves, were not merely artists. They were chroniclers of a secret history, one that mainstream narratives would rather dismiss as fantasy. It is not just Europe that holds these secrets. Across continents, from the deserts of Arabia to the jungles of South America, maps emerge depicting cities that never appear in archaeological records, roads connecting lands that supposedly do not exist, and symbols that hint at ancient civilizations lost to time. When explorers and scholars stumble upon these maps, they face a perplexing question. Were these cities real once, only to vanish without a trace? Or are they remnants of knowledge deliberately concealed through centuries of censorship and erasure? The allure of lost cities is not new. Atlantis, described by Plato as a sprawling, technologically advanced civilization swallowed by the sea, has captivated imaginations for millennia. Scholars debate whether it was allegorical, a moral lesson in hubris, or an actual city obliterated by cataclysm. Yet, when ancient maps surface showing coastlines and islands resembling Plato's account, the boundary between myth and reality begins to blur. Could these maps, some drawn long before the Renaissance, be the faint whispers of civilizations that once existed but were erased from collective memory? Visualize this. A map, its edges frayed with age, ink faded yet remarkably intact. Lines curve with mathematical precision, mountains and rivers drawn in careful detail, yet the lands they represent are nowhere to be found on modern atlases. The initial reaction is disbelief. These cities, rivers, and continents simply should not exist. But the deeper you look, the more anomalies appear. Certain coastlines match modern satellite imagery with eerie accuracy. Others depict star patterns and astronomical markers that defy the presumed knowledge of their era. For centuries, these artifacts have teased the human imagination, hinting at an alternative history where the past is far stranger than the textbooks admit. The question of why these maps exist leads inevitably to speculation about the minds and motives of those who created them. Were these cartographers working from secret sources, perhaps records of a lost civilization, or were they part of esoteric orders guarding forbidden knowledge? Could it be that some cities were deliberately erased from the historical record to maintain political, religious, or economic control? Some historians suggest that rulers and empires had reason to conceal cities and trade routes, especially if they represented wealth or spiritual power beyond the common man's understanding. Every line on these maps could have been a code, a warning, or a revelation meant for only a select few. As we dive deeper into this journey, we begin to notice patterns. The maps do not merely depict geographical features. They're imbued with stories, myths, and hidden logic. Symbols appear repeatedly across continents, as if an ancient language of cartography exists, understood by a few but indecipherable to most. It is in these patterns that the first hints of the vanished cities emerge. They are not lost by accident. They have been hidden, preserved in ink, awaiting discovery by those willing to look beyond the surface. The cinematic truth is that these maps are not just relics. They are invitations. Each crease, smudge, and annotation offers a portal into a forgotten world. Modern historians often dismiss these anomalies, labeling them mistakes or exaggerations. But the consistency across time and space, the precision that defies conventional understanding, suggests otherwise. Something extraordinary has been preserved, hidden in plain sight, waiting for curiosity to awaken it. Our exploration will take us across continents, centuries, and civilizations. From the deserts where explorers sought Ubar, the so-called Atlantis of Arabia, to the jungles of South America, where legends of El Dorado persist, we will examine maps that seem impossible and cities that vanish as soon as history records them. We will confront skepticism, uncover controversies, and navigate the fine line between myth and suppressed truth. Each map tells a story, each line a clue, and each city a puzzle piece in a grander design that challenges the very foundations of recorded history. As the journey begins, one question remains central. Why were these cities lost, and why were they preserved in maps no one believed existed? Is it coincidence, or is there a deliberate hand guiding the preservation of these secrets? By tracing these lines across parchment through the hands of those who drew them and the empires that ignored or concealed them, we step into a world where history is not a fixed narrative but a mystery to be unraveled, one map at a time. This is the story of vanished cities, hidden in maps that whisper of worlds we thought we knew, worlds erased, and yet quietly remembered. As we embark on this exploration, prepare to question everything you thought was true and follow the lines of ink that lead to places no modern atlas dares to acknowledge. Long before GPS satellites or Google Earth, civilizations relied on maps not just to navigate, but to understand their place in the cosmos. Maps were the intersection of art, science, and imagination, a reflection of what humans knew, what they believed, and what they hoped to discover. Every line drawn, every mountain shaded, every river marked was a testament to the ingenuity of early cartographers. Yet, hidden within the map's elegant curves and precise measurements, there are anomalies that defy conventional history, hints of places that should not exist according to our accepted timelines. The earliest maps were rudimentary, etched on clay tablets, carved into stone, or painted on animal hides. Babylonian astronomers and Egyptian scribes created star charts and river systems with astonishing accuracy, even though their tools were primitive by today's standards. These civilizations demonstrated a meticulous understanding of their world, but what fascinates scholars is the occasional inclusion of lands and features that seem impossible, territories unexplored, continents unknown, or cities unrecorded elsewhere. How did these ancient minds conceive of places they had never seen? Some suggest pure imagination. Others whisper of a hidden, inherited knowledge from civilizations now lost to time. By the Middle Ages, European cartography evolved into a blend of geography, philosophy, and religious symbolism. Monks and scholars drew maps not just to navigate, but to express cosmic order, divine creation, and moral lessons. The Mappa Mundi of this era often depicted the known world surrounded by mythic creatures, legendary cities, and even entire continents, some of which modern explorers would later dismiss as fantasy. Yet amidst the allegory, There are maps that show astonishingly accurate coastlines and topographical details, impossible for the time if based solely on contemporary exploration. It is here that mystery begins to take shape. Why would a map include both fact and fiction, and what truths lie hidden among the myths? Renaissance cartographers, with the revival of classical knowledge and advances in mathematics, brought precision to the craft. They measured latitude using the stars, calculated distances between ports, and employed triangulation to chart unknown lands. Yet even in this age of growing empirical understanding, maps appeared that depicted cities, rivers, and islands unknown to the explorers of the time. Some of these maps were rejected or ignored by mainstream society, but they persisted in secret collections, private libraries, and the hands of patrons with a taste for esoteric knowledge. Their survival suggests that someone, somewhere, considered them important, worth preserving despite skepticism or ridicule. The art of mapmaking itself becomes a study in contrasts. Precision and imagination, observation and speculation, science and secrecy. A map could be mathematically perfect, yet still include places that should not exist. Cartographers often encoded knowledge in ways meant to be understood only by the initiated. A river drawn in a certain way, a city marked with a symbol, or a line that corresponds to astronomical alignments. These subtle cues are nearly invisible to the casual observer, but they may indicate an underlying system, a hidden logic guiding the representation of the world. For centuries, such cryptic knowledge was passed down carefully, sometimes orally, sometimes through manuscripts, often shrouded in mystery. In some cases, maps themselves were treasures more valuable than gold. Ancient civilizations treated them as repositories of strategic, spiritual, and cultural power. A map could grant control over trade routes, resources, or territories, and in a world where information was power, such knowledge was fiercely guarded. It is no coincidence that some maps depicting impossible cities, lands, or coastlines appear only in secretive contexts, preserved by those who understood their value. The idea that maps could conceal rather than reveal was not lost on early cartographers. The art of hiding truth within truth is as old as mapmaking itself. Yet, it is the anomalies, the impossible coastlines, the cities that vanish without trace, the continents that appear before they were discovered, that truly intrigue modern scholars. Consider the precision of the Piri Reis map, the mysterious accuracy of Orent's finest depictions, or the recurring depiction of certain islands in multiple civilizations' maps. These anomalies suggest that some knowledge was shared, intentionally or otherwise, across generations and cultures. They hint at a world in which lost cities and hidden civilizations left subtle traces, encoded in the maps themselves, waiting for a discerning eye to recognize them. Mapmaking, then, is not merely a technical endeavor. It is a portal into the past, a coded language bridging history, myth, and mystery. Each curve of a coastline, each marked settlement, and each annotation may be more than a record. It may be a message, a warning, or a memory of a vanished world. Understanding these maps requires more than geography. It demands imagination, intuition, and a willingness to consider that history may be far stranger than textbooks allow. As we continue this journey, the story of mapmaking becomes inseparable from the story of the vanished cities themselves. The precision and anomalies we uncover are not accidents. They are clues embedded in the art and science of mapmaking, whispers from cartographers who may have known more than they were permitted to reveal. Each map is a puzzle, each line a key, and each city an invitation to explore the boundaries between what is known and what is hidden. Maps, in the end, are more than tools. They are memories of a world that refuses to be forgotten, records of civilizations lost to time, and perhaps guides to truths still waiting to be discovered. The question we must ask ourselves is not simply what do these maps show, but why do these places exist on paper when they no longer exist in reality? The answer, as we will see, may challenge everything we thought we knew about history, exploration, and the cities that vanished from human memory. Long before maps were meticulously drawn on parchment, before explorers sailed unknown seas, stories of vanished cities circulated through the oral traditions, chronicles, and sacred texts of ancient civilizations. These accounts, often dismissed as myths or allegories, describe sprawling metropolises, advanced societies, and cataclysms that erase them from memory. From the golden streets of Atlantis to the hidden riches of El Dorado, these tales paint a picture of human history far more mysterious than textbooks dare to acknowledge. But the true intrigue lies in the fact that many of these vanished cities appear not only in stories, but also in maps. Maps that should not exist according to our conventional understanding of time and exploration. Consider Atlantis, perhaps the most famous lost city. Plato's dialogues describe it as an advanced civilization, a naval power with incredible architecture and technology, ultimately swallowed by the sea in a single catastrophic event. For centuries, scholars debated whether Atlantis was allegorical, a moral lesson on human hubris. Yet, when cartographers in the Renaissance began creating maps, curious coastlines and islands emerged that bear remarkable resemblance to Plato's account. Could it be mere coincidence? Or were these mapmakers preserving fragments of a reality lost to history? The recurrence of Atlantis-like features across independent maps and texts raises the tantalizing possibility that the story was not purely fictional. In the deserts of Arabia, tales of Ubar, the Atlantis of the sands, persisted for millennia. Caravan traders spoke of a city that once controlled the frankincense trade, a metropolis that vanished beneath dunes without a trace. Ancient texts, from Bedouin oral histories to early Islamic writings, all hint at its existence. For centuries, explorers searched in vain, often ridiculed by mainstream historians. Yet, when satellite imagery eventually revealed crumbling subterranean structures in Oman, many lines drawn on centuries-old maps suddenly gained new significance. The cities chronicled in these ancient texts were no longer purely myth. They had left tangible traces, waiting for modern eyes to recognize them. Similarly, the jungles of South America teem with legends of hidden cities. El Dorado, the fabled city of gold, has captured the imagination of countless explorers and mapmakers. Chronicles from conquistadors describe river networks, mountain ranges, and settlements that correspond eerily with lines drawn on maps predating European conquest. The explorers' reports, often dismissed as exaggeration, align in remarkable detail with these maps, suggesting a convergence of oral tradition, written record, and cartographic preservation. It is as if multiple strands of knowledge, myth, observation, and secret memory were woven together in ink and parchment, surviving centuries of neglect and suppression. Ancient Indian texts speak of cities like Dwarka, said to have been submerged by the sea after reaching an incredible level of prosperity. Archaeologists now report underwater ruins off the coast of modern-day Gujarat that could correspond to these descriptions. Likewise, Chinese and Japanese chronicles describe lands and settlements that seem to vanish from history, their echoes faintly preserved in maps of the region. Across cultures, the pattern is consistent. Vanished cities are remembered, recorded, and sometimes encoded in maps, only to disappear from collective awareness. The question emerges, why are these cities consistently lost from mainstream historical narratives while persisting in certain texts and maps? One possibility is that natural disasters, floods, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, truly erase these cities from physical existence. But the careful preservation of their memory in manuscripts, maps, and myths suggests something more deliberate. Perhaps these cities were too powerful, too advanced, or too sacred to be widely known. The mapmakers, scribes, and chroniclers may have acted as guardians, encoding knowledge in symbols and lines for those who could decipher them, leaving the uninitiated to wonder whether these cities ever existed at all. Even the most skeptical historians cannot ignore the sheer recurrence of vanished cities across independent civilizations. Plato's Atlantis, Ubar in Arabia, El Dorado in South America, Dwarka in India, They span continents and epochs, yet all share common themes: incredible wealth, advanced knowledge, and sudden disappearance. When these stories are cross-referenced with maps from corresponding eras, a startling convergence appears. Features depicted with mathematical precision, rivers flowing where modern maps show deserts, or coastlines matching geological shifts, all suggest that these vanished cities were not mere imagination, but remnants of a shared historical memory. The allure of these texts lies not only in what they describe, but also in the mysteries they conceal. Ancient authors often cloaked their accounts in allegory, metaphor, or cryptic phrasing. Cities vanish suddenly, sometimes beneath waters, sometimes under sand, yet traces remain in maps or coded directions. To a modern reader, these passages might seem fantastical, almost whimsical. Yet when studied alongside contemporaneous cartography, they reveal patterns, alignments, and even coordinates that demand attention. It is a delicate dance between myth and reality, one that challenges our understanding of history itself. As we follow the trail of these vanished cities, we begin to see that the maps and texts are inseparable. One preserves what the other cannot. One encodes what the other obscures. Together, they form a web of knowledge, scattered yet coherent, hinting at a world once rich with civilizations now nearly forgotten. Every reference, every description, and every line on a map is a breadcrumb leading us closer to understanding the cities that vanished from memory, but never fully disappeared from record. This section, then, sets the stage for our journey deeper into the unknown. Ancient texts and maps are our first clues, fragments of a grander puzzle that spans continents and centuries. They challenge skepticism, provoke curiosity, and compel us to ask the most provocative question of all: what else has history forgotten, and what secrets remain hidden in plain sight? In following these lines and passages, we step into the shadowy world where legend, history, and cartography converge, into the very heart of the mystery of vanished cities. Few maps in history have sparked as much fascination, debate, and controversy as the Piri Reis map of 1513. Drawn by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, it appears at first glance to be an ordinary fragment of a world map. But upon closer inspection, it contains anomalies that have baffled historians and geographers for centuries. Most strikingly, it depicts a coastline resembling Antarctica, centuries before the continent was officially discovered and mapped. How could a 16th century Ottoman admiral, working with the tools and knowledge of his time, accurately render a landmass no European had ever seen? The map itself is a delicate work of art, drawn on a piece of gazelle skin, with detailed coastlines, rivers, and islands carefully annotated in the Turkish script of the era. Piri Reis claims in his own notes that he compiled the map from over 20 source maps, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. Many of these source maps are now lost, leaving modern scholars to wonder about their origin and the accuracy they may have contained. Some suggest that these sources were remnants of a highly advanced, now vanished civilization, maps preserved and passed down through millennia, holding knowledge that should have been impossible for the Renaissance world. The Antarctica mystery is at the heart of this fascination. The Piri Reis map depicts a coastline free of ice, suggesting a time when the continent may have been ice-free. Geologists have confirmed that parts of Antarctica's coastline were indeed free of ice tens of thousands of years ago, long before humans could have recorded it. This leads to an unsettling possibility. Did Piri Reis and his sources preserve knowledge from civilization far older than commonly accepted history? Could ancient explorers or even unknown civilizations have mapped continents, now lost beneath ice and centuries of obscurity? Skeptics argue that the supposed Antarctic coast is a misinterpretation, a projection error, or a simple coincidence. They claim the map could be an imaginative reconstruction of South America's southern tip, or even a composite of various regions the cartographer had never visited. Yet the precision of certain features, the accurate curvature of the coastline, the placement of mountains and rivers, and the depiction of ocean currents, continues to fuel speculation. When compared with modern satellite images, parts of the coastline correspond strikingly well, almost as if the map captures a reality long forgotten. Beyond Antarctica, the Piri Reis map also contains depictions of islands and lands that have no known modern counterparts. Some scholars argue these may represent lost islands of the Atlantic. Others suggest they could be errors or symbolic placeholders. But to the eye trained to notice anomalies, the consistency and care of the depictions hint at sources more reliable than guesswork. The map is not merely a navigational tool. It is a coded record of a world partially hidden from conventional history. The creation of such a map required more than artistic skill. It demanded access to knowledge that would have been rare, closely guarded, or secret. Who were the original mapmakers whose work Piri Reis compiled? Some theories suggest ancient civilizations, such as the Phoenicians or Atlanteans, may have charted the world with a precision that exceeded the technology available to Renaissance Europe. Others propose that the map contains fragments of knowledge passed down through esoteric or secretive networks. Traders, scholars, and explorers who understood that some truths were too dangerous or valuable to be widely shared. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that Piri Reis's map survived it all. Many maps from the period were lost to war, neglect, or deliberate destruction. The Ottoman Empire, while vast, could have easily discarded such a map if it did not serve immediate practical purposes. Yet this fragment endured, preserved perhaps by accident, or perhaps because someone recognized its hidden value. Its survival allows us to glimpse a worldview that straddles history and mystery, knowledge and speculation, science and the unknown. The cinematic drama of the Piri Reis map is undeniable. Imagine a 16th century admiral poring over ancient parchments, copying coastlines passed down through centuries, unaware that he is preserving evidence of a world that predates history as we know it. Each line he drew is a whisper from a forgotten past, a hint of civilizations and knowledge that challenge everything modern society believes about exploration and discovery. The mystery of Antarctica is merely one layer. The map is a mosaic of possibilities, each demanding careful study and imagination. As we consider the Piri Reis map, we confront a broader question. How much of history is preserved in maps we dismiss as inaccurate or fantastical? If one map from 1513 contains hints of ice-free Antarctica, what other truths might be hidden in the vast archives of cartography around the world? Each fragment, each line, and each annotation is a doorway into a reality that mainstream history may have overlooked or intentionally ignored. The mystery of the Piri Reis map is not just about geography. It is about human curiosity, the transmission of knowledge, and the persistent shadows of vanished civilizations. As we move forward in our exploration, we will encounter other maps, other lost cities, and other enigmas that together challenge the neat, linear narrative of recorded history. Piri Reis offers a tantalizing glimpse into a world where maps are more than navigation. They are keys to secrets humanity has long forgotten, waiting for those willing to see beyond the surface. The Americas, vast and untamed, have long been a canvas for legends of cities so grand they defy imagination. From the dense Amazonian jungles to the sweeping deserts of northern Mexico, tales of wealth, knowledge, and vanished civilizations have persisted for centuries. Many of these cities, chronicled in ancient texts and later captured on maps, seem almost impossible. Lost metropolises erased from history, yet lingering in whispers, coded symbols, and the memories of those who dared to explore. El Dorado, the legendary city of gold, is perhaps the most famous of these lost civilizations. Spanish conquistadors, captivated by tales from indigenous tribes, embarked on perilous expeditions through the Andes, guided by rivers, mountains, and often maps that suggested precise locations. Their journals described cities shimmering with gold, streets paved with precious metals, and temples overflowing with treasures. While historians long dismissed these accounts as fantasy, the repeated alignment of stories and maps suggests a deeper truth. Something significant once existed, something that modern history either cannot locate or chooses to ignore. Beyond El Dorado, the Teos Caves in Ecuador hold stories of hidden tunnels and underground cities, said to contain artifacts of immense antiquity. Explorers in the 20th century reported encountering subterranean structures, some mapped decades earlier by local legends. Maps of the region, often hand-drawn by indigenous communities, depict routes and settlements unknown to outsiders. These depictions were dismissed as folklore until modern expeditions began uncovering cave systems matching the ancient diagrams. The convergence of oral tradition, maps, and physical exploration hints at civilizations whose knowledge was sophisticated yet deliberately concealed from the broader world. In northern Mexico, legends of the lost city of Teotihuacan resonate with similar mystery. The sprawling pyramids, vast avenues, and intricate urban planning suggest a civilization of extraordinary capability, far ahead of its time. Early Spanish maps, predating systematic European exploration, hint at urban settlements in regions that archaeology later confirmed. Even in these partially reconstructed maps, scholars note discrepancies. Streets and districts that appear on ancient documents but remain partially unverified today. Could these anomalies point to sections of the city that vanished without a trace, or perhaps to satellite settlements long buried beneath earth and jungle? The Americas are also home to civilizations that seem to vanish and reappear across the historical record. Ancient maps from the 16th and 17th centuries depict islands, rivers, and settlements in South and Central America that explorers could not locate. These maps were often drawn with meticulous attention to detail, suggesting the cartographers had access to reliable sources, whether through oral history, lost manuscripts, or perhaps even pre-Columbian civilizations whose knowledge survived in fragments. The cities marked on these maps are often perfectly plausible geographically, yet frustratingly absent in archaeological surveys, a riddle that continues to haunt historians and adventurers alike. Consider the recurring depiction of the City of the Seven Cities, also known as Cibola. Spanish explorers pursued these mythical settlements across the deserts of the American Southwest, guided by maps passed down through generations. Reports spoke of abundant resources, advanced architecture, and thriving societies. Though the cities were never conclusively found, modern research has revealed patterns in settlements and ruins that correlate eerily with descriptions on old maps. These findings suggest that explorers were not entirely chasing myths. They were following fragmented traces of civilizations that had indeed existed, only to vanish or be forgotten by history. The mystery deepens when we examine how these maps were created. Indigenous communities, often illiterate in European terms, provided information through drawings, oral descriptions, and symbolic representations. European cartographers would then translate these into maps with compass coordinates, rivers, and roads. The result was a hybrid document, part ethnography, part geography, part coded knowledge. Within these maps lie hidden layers, cities that appear to exist yet resist discovery, landscapes aligned with astronomical markers, and settlements strategically erased or obscured over time. These layers suggest intention, not error, implying that knowledge of certain cities was safeguarded, selectively transmitted, or perhaps lost due to conflict and conquest. Even today, the search for these lost cities continues. Satellite imagery, LiDAR technology, and archaeological excavations have revealed structures beneath dense forests and shifting sands that align with maps centuries old. Entire networks of roads, plazas, and settlements emerge from the foliage, confirming the persistence of human ingenuity in places once considered empty wilderness. The convergence of ancient maps, modern technology, and field exploration is slowly peeling back the veil, allowing us to glimpse civilizations that were erased from conventional history, yet preserved in memory and cartography. The cinematic allure of the Americas' lost cities is irresistible. Imagine a map, faded and frayed, showing rivers, mountains, and settlements perfectly aligned, yet invisible to the modern eye. Each expedition retraces paths recorded centuries earlier, each discovery confirming fragments of legend, each anomaly deepening the mystery. These maps serve as portals to vanished worlds, guiding explorers and scholars through a terrain where myth and history collide, and where cities that vanished from memory may still whisper their existence through the lines and symbols of ancient cartography. The lost cities of the Americas are not just stories. They are evidence of civilizations whose knowledge, culture, and architecture challenge our understanding of the past. They remind us that history is not fixed, that maps may preserve what has been deliberately erased, and that the mysteries of vanished cities endure as long as someone is willing to follow the lines left by those who came before. As we continue our journey, we will uncover more maps, more anomalies, and more evidence suggesting that the Americas once held civilizations of remarkable sophistication, waiting to be remembered. Long before modern navigation charts and GPS systems, ancient mariners traversed oceans, seas, and rivers with astonishing skill and precision. The stories of vanished cities often intersect with these voyages, suggesting that some lost civilizations were connected not only through trade, but also through knowledge of maritime routes now largely forgotten. The journeys of ancient sailors, often dismissed as myth or exaggeration, reveal a sophisticated understanding of currents, wind patterns, celestial navigation, and coastal geography. This mastery allowed them to explore vast distances, establish settlements, and even map regions that would later vanish from memory. The Mediterranean, cradle of many ancient civilizations, provides a clear starting point for understanding these forgotten voyages. The Phoenicians, in particular, are renowned for their seafaring prowess. Their ships, built to withstand long-distance travel, allowed them to colonize distant coasts, from North Africa to the Iberian Peninsula. More intriguingly, some historians argue that the Phoenicians may have ventured even further, potentially reaching the coasts of the British Isles, West Africa, and even the Americas. Ancient accounts describe cities, ports, and trade networks that were later lost, their locations surviving only in fragmented maps and oral traditions. These early mariners carried not just goods, but knowledge, architectural styles, religious practices, and even urban planning techniques that may have influenced cities now vanished. In the Indian Ocean, early maritime exploration similarly connected civilizations separated by thousands of miles. Ancient sailors from India, Arabia, and East Africa maintained trade routes that facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and culture. Historical texts and maps indicate that settlements once thrived along now-submerged coastlines, their existence corroborated by relics recovered from sunken ports. These mariners navigated by stars, ocean swells, and landmarks visible only to the trained eye, creating networks of commerce that linked distant civilizations. Many of the cities they visited or established have since vanished due to rising seas, tectonic shifts, or deliberate abandonment, leaving behind tantalizing hints in maps and maritime lore. Perhaps the most tantalizing evidence of ancient mariner sophistication comes from the enigmatic cartography of the pre-modern world. Maps, such as the Piri Reis chart of 1513, suggest an advanced understanding of coastlines far beyond what should have been known at the time. Some researchers argue that these maps indicate knowledge of continents and islands long before they were officially discovered by European explorers. The precision with which certain coastlines, rivers, and ports are drawn implies first-hand observation, likely achieved through voyages that were deliberately kept secret or whose records were lost to time. Could these mariners have visited cities that later vanished beneath waves or sand, leaving behind only maps as evidence? The convergence of maritime skill and cartographic knowledge suggests that the answer may be yes. Maritime voyages were not only practical, they were deeply intertwined with religion, ritual, and cultural belief. Sailors often undertook perilous journeys guided by prophecy, divine consultation, or esoteric teachings. In many cultures, knowledge of hidden cities or sacred ports was encoded in navigational lore, preserved only within certain guilds, temples, or secret societies. For example, the Polynesian navigators used an intricate system of stars, wave patterns, and bird migrations to traverse vast stretches of ocean, reaching islands that remained undiscovered by outsiders for centuries. Similarly, medieval European and Middle Eastern sailors relied on codified knowledge, often passed down orally, to explore regions that were later recorded in esoteric maps. Maps that may have preserved the locations of cities now vanished from history. The cinematic drama of these voyages is striking. Imagine a small ship leaving port at dusk, sails catching the wind while navigators trace the positions of constellations. Each night, they consult secret charts, noting submerged reefs, shifting currents, and hidden coves. On board, mariners carry not only cargo, but also knowledge, allegorical stories, coded instructions, and the precise coordinates of settlements lost to mainstream memory. Every successful journey strengthens the network of preserved knowledge, ensuring that some record of vanished cities survives, even as others succumb to the passage of time. Yet, despite their skill, ancient mariners faced immense hazards. Storms could destroy ships, tides could engulf ports, and political turmoil could erase coastal settlements from maps. Cities that once thrived along trade routes could vanish almost overnight, leaving future generations to rely on oral traditions, cryptic manuscripts, or fragmentary maps to reconstruct their existence. Some of the most famous vanished cities, Dvarka in India, Iram of the Pillars in Arabia, and sunken Mediterranean ports, appear alongside maritime legends, hinting that their fate was intimately connected with these voyages. Throughout history, some of the most intriguing mysteries are not just the cities that vanished, but the maps themselves, maps that existed, guided explorers, and then disappeared, leaving only whispers and fragmented evidence. These lost maps hint at civilizations, lands, and trade routes that mainstream history has either forgotten or intentionally suppressed. Their disappearance raises difficult questions. Were they destroyed to conceal knowledge, lost to time, or hidden deliberately to protect secrets that could challenge established power? Consider the early Portuguese and Spanish charts of the 15th and 16th centuries. These maps often contain detailed depictions of coastlines, islands, and cities unknown to most of Europe. Yet many of these maps were destroyed or disappeared under suspicious circumstances. Some were kept secret within royal archives, others burned during conflicts, and some vanished without a trace during maritime disasters. The result is a tantalizing puzzle. Glimpses of a world that existed in ink, now erased from collective memory, leaving modern historians to piece together fragments and secondhand references. Even the Ottoman archives, home to remarkable cartography like the Piri Reis map, contain records of maps that no longer survive. Piri Reis himself references numerous source maps from antiquity, including some from Alexander the Great's time, that are now entirely lost. If these maps ever existed, they could have revealed coastlines, cities, and civilizations long before the supposed age of exploration. Their disappearance is not merely inconvenient. It suggests deliberate concealment, perhaps by those who understood that knowledge of vanished cities could destabilize political, religious, or cultural hierarchies. Beyond the medieval and Renaissance periods, there are stories of explorers carrying maps that would vanish under mysterious circumstances. European expeditions often referenced maps taken from ancient libraries, monasteries, or private collections, only for these maps to be lost at sea, stolen, or misfiled in archives. Some explorers spoke of islands or cities marked clearly on these maps that they never located, leaving future generations to question whether the maps contained accurate information, exaggeration, or intentional deception. The repeated pattern of disappearance suggests that knowledge, especially of cities not recognized by mainstream history, was considered dangerous or valuable enough to protect or destroy. The phenomenon is not limited to Europe. In Asia, maps from China, Japan, and India describe cities, trade networks, and geographic features that are absent from later records. Some of these maps were deliberately hidden in temples or secret archives, accessible only to a select few. When discovered centuries later, scholars noted that certain maps appear to have been copied or altered multiple times, suggesting both preservation and obfuscation. The disappearing maps of Asia hint at a broader, global effort to safeguard knowledge, sometimes with the unintended consequence of creating gaps in our understanding of vanished civilizations. Religious institutions also played a role in the disappearance of maps. Monasteries and libraries often controlled access to maps, and maps that contradicted official narratives were sometimes destroyed or concealed. For example, early Christian and Islamic scholars sometimes suppressed maps that referenced pre-Christian or pre-Islamic cities, viewing them as heretical or politically inconvenient. In this way, maps became more than tools for navigation. They were instruments of power, and their disappearance was a means of controlling history itself. The cinematic drama of disappearing maps lies in the tension between revelation and loss. Imagine a map depicting a thriving city on a forgotten coast, passed secretly from hand to hand, only to vanish in a shipwreck or a fire. The city it represents may be lost, but the map persists in memory and legend. Scholars and treasure hunters chase these shadows, piecing together fragments from diaries, sketches, and references in unrelated texts. Each rediscovery brings tantalizing hints of civilizations erased from mainstream history, and each loss deepens the mystery, creating a sense of suspense and awe that spans centuries. In some cases, maps disappear because the knowledge they contain challenges authority. If a map reveals trade routes, resources, or cities unknown to ruling powers, it could shift political or economic advantage. Similarly, maps that suggest a different chronology of civilizations could threaten religious or cultural narratives. The act of hiding or destroying maps becomes a means of controlling collective memory, ensuring that certain knowledge remains inaccessible. It is a subtle form of historical censorship, leaving the curious to wonder how much has been deliberately erased. Today, technology has begun to resurrect some of these lost maps. High-resolution scans, digital archives, and collaborative scholarship allow fragments to be pieced together, revealing patterns invisible in isolation. Satellite imagery and LiDAR can validate certain features, confirming that some vanished cities once existed, even if their precise locations remain elusive. Yet, despite these advances, many maps remain missing, hidden in private collections, forgotten archives, or destroyed entirely. Their disappearance is a reminder that history is fragile and that our understanding of vanished cities depends not only on what survives, but on what has been lost. The mystery of disappearing maps reminds us that knowledge is a double-edged sword. While maps guide, educate, and preserve, they can also conceal, protect, or destroy. For every map that survives, countless others vanish, taking with them secrets of civilizations, technologies, and cities that mainstream history refuses to acknowledge. As we follow the lines of surviving maps, we are not merely exploring geography. We're tracing the shadows of a world intentionally hidden, a puzzle in which each lost map leaves a gap, and each rediscovered fragment brings us closer to understanding the vanished cities it once depicted. The ocean has long been a keeper of secrets, swallowing civilizations, ports, and entire cities, leaving only whispers and legends and faint traces on ancient maps. From Mediterranean to the coasts of South America, tales of sunken cities have persisted for millennia, recorded in myths, oral traditions, and the maps of ancient navigators. These stories are more than fanciful tales. They suggest a reality where human settlements, advanced in technology and culture, were lost to cataclysmic events, preserved only in memory, text, and cartography. Atlantis is, of course, the most famous example. Plato's dialogues describe it as a highly advanced civilization that existed thousands of years before his time, ultimately destroyed by a cataclysmic flood. While skeptics dismiss Atlantis as allegory, maps and text from multiple civilizations hint at locations that correspond to Plato's descriptions. The fascination with Atlantis is not simply in the story, but in the consistency of the clues. Islands and coastlines drawn on ancient charts, submerged land masses suggested in geological studies, and recurring references across cultures to a great city lost beneath the waves. Could these be coincidences, or do they point to a civilization that once existed, now hidden by the ocean? Other hidden cities beneath the sea appear in different regions and cultures. Off the coast of India, the ruins near Dwarka, submerged under the Arabian Sea, suggest a thriving city that existed thousands of years ago. Ancient texts describe its grandeur, intricate streets, and temples dedicated to advanced knowledge, while modern underwater archaeology confirms the presence of stone structures and urban layouts. Similarly, the Yanaguni Monument off Japan presents massive underwater formations resembling terraces, pyramids, and streets, which some researchers argue are the remnants of an ancient city lost to seismic activity and rising seas. Maps play a crucial role in these mysteries. Ancient cartographers often recorded coastlines, islands, and settlements that no longer exist above water. Some of these features appear on maps centuries before they were discovered through modern exploration or underwater archaeology. For example, Mediterranean maps from the Middle Ages depict islands later submerged or destroyed by earthquakes, while maps of South America sometimes indicate coastal cities now beneath water due to rising sea levels. These records suggest that cartographers may have had access to older knowledge, maps passed down from lost civilizations, or oral accounts preserved through generations. The process of cities disappearing beneath the sea was not always gradual. Many vanished abruptly, swallowed by sudden floods, tsunamis, or earthquakes. Geological evidence indicates that sea levels have fluctuated dramatically over thousands of years, erasing human settlements in some regions entirely. In this sense, the maps left behind are not just historical artifacts. They are time capsules, preserving the memory of places that no longer exist, capturing the last known configurations of coastlines and urban centers. The cinematic allure of these sunken cities is undeniable. Imagine a map, meticulously drawn, showing a bustling coastal city that now lies under hundreds of feet of water. Streets, plazas, and temples were once thriving centers of commerce, governance, and culture, yet today the ocean conceals them completely. Each expedition to uncover these lost cities, divers exploring ruins, sonar scans mapping underwater structures, archaeologists studying submerged artifacts, feels like following the trail of ghosts from a forgotten civilization. The maps guide us, bridging centuries of mystery and leading us into the depths of both the sea and human memory. Some of these cities were deliberately hidden in maps for reasons of secrecy. Ancient civilizations may have encoded certain locations to protect sacred knowledge or valuable resources. Coastal cities, often centers of trade and wealth, were prime targets for rivals or invaders. By preserving their existence in maps that only select individuals could interpret, civilizations ensured that knowledge of these places survived while shielding them from exploitation. The result is a puzzle for modern researchers. Maps showing cities beneath the sea, histories erased from written record, and a challenge to reconcile legend with evidence. Even today, technology continues to uncover traces of these lost cities. Sonar mapping, LiDAR scanning, and deep-sea archaeology reveal terraces, walls, and roads once thought impossible to locate. Every new discovery adds weight to the notion that sunken cities were real, not myth, and that the maps of the past contain fragments of knowledge that only now can be verified. Yet, many of these sites remain tantalizingly incomplete, hidden beneath layers of sediment, volcanic deposits, or ocean currents. The sense of mystery persists, amplified by the knowledge that each discovery may lead to another, deeper secret. The stories of sunken cities are also warnings. They remind us of the fragility of human civilization, how advanced cities, once seemingly permanent, can vanish due to natural forces or human folly. Maps, preserved against time, storms, and human neglect, become our guides and witnesses, capturing a reality that no longer exists above water. They are the bridge between myth and history, showing us that what is lost is not always forgotten, and that the cities beneath the sea still speak through the maps that recorded them. In following these submerged cities, we uncover not only the physical remnants of lost civilizations, but also the cultural memory that survived through maps, texts, and oral traditions. The ocean hides them, but the maps preserve them. The vanished cities beneath the waves remind us that history is layered, complex, and often deliberately obscured, and that every line on a map, every annotation, and every forgotten coastline is a key to unraveling the enduring mystery of humanity's lost worlds. Vanished cities do not exist only in maps, archaeological fragments, or explorers' journals. They also live vividly in prophecy, myth, and legend. Across civilizations, stories of cities disappearing, hidden, or destroyed appear repeatedly, as if humanity has long sensed that some places would vanish from memory, yet continue to influence the world in secret. These prophecies often blend the spiritual with the practical, suggesting that lost cities were not only real, but that their fate was intertwined with cosmic forces, divine judgment, or hidden knowledge. Ancient Greece offers the archetype of such legends with Atlantis. Plato described not only its grandeur, but also its inevitable destruction, emphasizing the hubris of a civilization that grew too powerful. He warned that moral decay and overreach led to the city being swallowed by the sea. While skeptics dismiss this as allegory, the specificity of the account, complete with geographic references, social structure, and military prowess, hints at knowledge of a city that may have truly existed. Plato's warning, encoded in story form, became the earliest recorded prophecy of a vanished city, intertwining human ambition with the inexorable forces of nature. In Mesoamerica, the Maya and Aztec civilizations spoke of cities that rose and fell according to cycles tied to astronomy and divine mandate. Codices describe hidden temples, sacred cities, and regions lost to floods, fire, or invaders, often in ways that align with geographical and archaeological evidence. These stories suggest an awareness that some cities were fated to vanish, not as mere myth, but as part of a cosmological pattern. Maps from the era encode this knowledge symbolically, with locations marked by glyphs and celestial references that communicate both physical and spiritual significance. Europe is no stranger to such legends. Medieval prophecies often warned of lost kingdoms or cities hidden due to divine punishment or human folly. For instance, the Welsh tale of Cantor ar Gwaelod tells of a low-lying kingdom inundated by the sea after neglect and corruption. Maps from the British Isles occasionally indicate submerged lands off the coast of Wales, lending a cartographic echo to the oral legend. Similar stories appear in Scandinavia, where ancient sagas recount islands swallowed by rising seas, preserved only in songs and coastal maps. In these cases, prophecy and legend function as mnemonic devices, encoding environmental events, societal collapse, and the memory of vanished settlements. In the Middle East, Islamic texts reference cities that were destroyed or concealed due to divine will or human hubris. The story of Iram of the Pillars, mentioned in the Quran, describes a city of incredible wealth and power, ultimately erased from the sands as punishment for moral decay. Ancient Arab maps sometimes hint at the location of Iram, placing it in alignment with desert trade routes and oases, though no definitive ruins have been located. Yet, the recurrence of the city in oral and written tradition across centuries suggests a preserved memory, warning, or prophecy embedded in culture and geography. Prophecies of vanished cities often share thematic elements: wealth, power, hubris, divine retribution, and secrecy. Many claim that these cities were deliberately hidden or destroyed to prevent knowledge from reaching the unworthy. Others hint at survival in secret, preserved by select individuals, lineages, or hidden societies. For instance, some European esoteric traditions speak of cities containing treasures or sacred knowledge, deliberately erased from public maps, yet recorded in hidden manuscripts accessible only to initiates. Here, legend, prophecy, and secrecy intertwine, implying a deliberate manipulation of knowledge over centuries. Maps themselves sometimes encode prophecy. Certain medieval and Renaissance maps use symbols, annotations, and celestial alignments that imply more than geography. They suggest fate, warning, or destiny. Rivers may symbolize moral or spiritual flow. Cities marked with stars or crosses indicate divine significance. Islands in perilous waters serve as allegories of hubris. To the casual observer, these symbols may appear decorative or arbitrary, but closer study reveals a deliberate layering of meaning, merging spiritual foresight with cartographic record. The cinematic allure of prophecies and vanished cities is irresistible. Imagine explorers following maps encoded with cryptic symbols, unaware that they are retracing paths foretold by sages, priests, or mystics centuries earlier. Each lost city becomes a nexus where legend, geography, and destiny converge, suggesting that the disappearance of these cities was not random, but guided by forces both human and cosmic. Modern adventurers, guided by maps and ancient prophecies, can feel the tension between what is known, what is remembered, and what is deliberately concealed, a story unfolding across time. The persistence of these prophecies also raises questions about the nature of knowledge itself. If cities were truly erased from the physical world but preserved in memory, legend, and maps, then history is not linear but layered. Some truths were meant to survive through oral tradition, encoded symbols, and careful cartography, accessible only to those who could read between the lines. Prophecies serve as both warning and guide, hinting that lost cities were not simply forgotten. They were preserved in maps, in stories, and in the collective imagination, waiting to be rediscovered by those capable of deciphering them. Ultimately, the legends and prophecies of vanished cities are more than curiosities. They are evidence of a worldview in which memory, morality, and geography intersect. They suggest that civilizations were aware of the impermanence of human constructs, that some knowledge was dangerous or sacred, and that maps, texts, and myths were designed to preserve what physical destruction could not. Following these prophecies is a journey into the hidden layers of history, where the lines between myth, record, and reality blur, and where the vanished cities may still speak to those who listen carefully enough. Throughout history, secret societies have played an often overlooked role in preserving knowledge of vanished cities. These organizations, shrouded in ritual, symbolism, and exclusivity, have sometimes acted as custodians of information deemed too dangerous, sacred, or destabilizing for general circulation. From the medieval brotherhoods of Europe to clandestine orders in the Middle East and Asia, these societies were deeply intertwined with maps, manuscripts, and oral traditions, safeguarding the locations and stories of cities that vanished from mainstream memory. The Freemasons, for instance, are frequently associated with esoteric knowledge, sacred geometry, and the preservation of ancient wisdom. Some historians and theorists suggest that Masonic lodges held encoded maps and texts referring to lost cities, using symbols and allegories to pass information discreetly across generations. Within the rituals and teachings, knowledge of vanished cities, both their locations and their hidden treasures, may have been deliberately concealed, accessible only to those initiated into specific degrees of understanding. In this context, maps and architectural symbols were not merely decorative. They were repositories of hidden knowledge. Similarly, the Knights Templar, long mythologized as guardians of secret knowledge, are rumored to have protected information about cities lost to history. Some texts hint that they possessed ancient manuscripts, charts, and relics from civilizations such as Atlantis or other advanced prehistorical societies. According to these accounts, the Templars preserved these secrets in fortified locations, passing them through coded manuscripts or cryptic inscriptions in cathedrals and churches. The sudden suppression of the order in the early 14th century may have scattered this knowledge, leaving clues behind in maps, esoteric symbols, and cryptic documents for future seekers. In the Middle East, Sufi brotherhoods and secret scholarly circles also played a role in preserving hidden knowledge. They safeguarded manuscripts describing vanished cities, advanced technologies, and spiritual practices that mainstream authorities often dismissed or suppressed. Certain maps, passed through these networks, depict cities and coastlines no longer present in the known world. By encoding this knowledge in allegory, mathematics, and symbolic representation, these societies ensured its survival while protecting it from misuse or persecution. The cinematic appeal of secret societies lies in the duality of protection and secrecy. Imagine a map carefully drawn on parchment, depicting a vanished city with extraordinary precision. The cartographer is unaware of the full significance of the knowledge he preserves, but a secret society ensures that the map survives while remaining hidden from the uninitiated. Each symbol, annotation, and seemingly arbitrary marking could hold instructions, warnings, or coordinates, readable only by those trained in the esoteric language. These societies became guardians of both history and myth, ensuring that knowledge survived beyond the collapse of civilizations. Beyond Europe and the Middle East, similar patterns emerge in Asia. Taoist and Buddhist sects occasionally encoded knowledge of lost settlements, trade routes, and sacred cities in symbolic maps, accessible only to initiated monks or scholars. Indigenous groups in the Americas reportedly had secret clans responsible for preserving knowledge of vanished cities, guiding explorers or shamans along paths that were otherwise invisible to outsiders. Across cultures, the preservation of hidden cities was not incidental. It was a deliberate act, often motivated by spiritual, cultural, or strategic considerations. The motivations of these societies were complex. Some sought to protect sacred knowledge from misuse, others to preserve economic or political advantage, and still others to maintain a connection with the spiritual or mystical significance of these cities. In many cases, lost cities were believed to contain wisdom, technology, or resources that could destabilize the world if revealed prematurely. By guarding these secrets, secret societies operated as intermediaries between past and present, ensuring that knowledge survived through controlled transmission rather than public exposure. Maps, manuscripts, and symbols became the primary tools of preservation. A single map could encode centuries of accumulated knowledge, guiding future generations to lost cities while remaining inscrutable to those without proper training. Symbols that appear as decorative flourishes may correspond to real-world locations, astronomical markers, or hidden entrances. Legends of hidden libraries, buried archives, and secret chambers often accompany these maps, suggesting that the societies who protected them understood the fragility of knowledge and the danger of its exposure. In many ways, the work of these societies parallels the very theme of vanished cities themselves: preservation amidst destruction, secrecy amidst exposure, and knowledge surviving in fragments across time. Without their intervention, countless maps, manuscripts, and oral traditions may have been lost entirely, leaving humanity blind to civilizations erased from the physical world. The influence of secret societies reminds us that history is not merely a record of events, but a curated narrative, where some truths are deliberately hidden, waiting for the curious, the persistent, and the initiated to rediscover them. Ultimately, secret societies serve as both guardians and gatekeepers of vanished cities. They maintain a delicate balance, protecting knowledge while ensuring its survival, encoding truth in symbols and maps, and guiding seekers toward discovery without allowing indiscriminate access. Their role challenges conventional history, suggesting that many lost cities were not simply forgotten. They were hidden, preserved, and protected for those capable of understanding their significance. In tracing their influence, we uncover a hidden layer of history where maps, legend, and secrecy converge, illuminating the enduring mystery of humanity's forgotten worlds. In the modern era, technology, and curiosity have reignited the search for lost cities, turning myths and ancient maps into tangible expeditions. For centuries, these cities were relegated to legend, oral tradition, or fragmented cartography, but today explorers, archaeologists, and adventurers are following the traces left behind, armed with satellite imagery, LiDAR scanning, and underwater sonar. Modern expeditions bridge past and present, allowing us to validate stories once dismissed and to uncover cities hidden for centuries, sometimes under dense forests, shifting sands, or the ocean itself. The Amazon rainforest, long considered an impenetrable wilderness, has revealed astonishing secrets thanks to modern technology. LiDAR surveys have uncovered entire networks of settlements, plazas, and roads hidden beneath the dense canopy, correlating with ancient accounts and indigenous maps. These discoveries suggest that advanced civilizations once thrived in regions previously assumed to be sparsely populated. The precision of urban planning, hydraulic systems, and defensive structures challenges conventional understanding of pre-Columbian societies. Maps and stories that were once dismissed as exaggeration now find confirmation through these technological rediscoveries. In Central America, the rediscovery of cities like Caracol, Tikal, and El Mirador demonstrates how modern archaeology can validate ancient knowledge. Many of these cities were documented in early colonial maps, but lost to memory over centuries due to abandonment, natural decay, and conquest. Explorers using these historical maps as guides have unearthed pyramids, ceremonial complexes, and road networks precisely where the maps indicated. The convergence of legend, cartography, and fieldwork emphasizes that some lost cities were never entirely forgotten. They existed in fragmented knowledge, waiting for rediscovery. Sunken cities offer an even more compelling challenge. Coastal civilizations, like those near Dvarka in India or Yonaguni off Japan, were largely forgotten until modern technology revealed their remnants beneath the waves. Sonar mapping and underwater archaeology have confirmed that these submerged settlements were highly organized, with terraces, streets, and stone structures suggesting advanced engineering. Ancient maps had recorded these cities centuries ago, yet they were dismissed by explorers and historians who assumed the landforms to be myth or misinterpretation. Modern expeditions demonstrate that these cities, hidden beneath oceans or rivers, preserve tangible proof of sophisticated civilizations erased from surface memory. Modern adventurers also follow cryptic hints left by secret societies, esoteric texts, and coded maps. Expeditions inspired by such sources often combine rigorous research with intuition, as explorers attempt to decode symbols and annotations that were deliberately obscure. Some searches, particularly in the Middle East, trace cities mentioned in Islamic and Sufi manuscripts, leading researchers to ruins long concealed beneath desert sands. Others follow European esoteric texts that suggest lost settlements tied to alchemical or sacred knowledge. In each case, maps serve as guides, bridging centuries of secrecy and mystery. The cinematic drama of modern expeditions is compelling. Imagine a researcher in a helicopter surveying dense jungle while cross-referencing ancient maps, LiDAR imagery, and local oral history. Every discovery feels like a confirmation of centuries-old knowledge, ruins emerging from the earth as if the city itself had been waiting for rediscovery. Each step forward carries tension. Will the site reveal the civilization as described, or will it vanish once again beneath the soil, leaving only hints of its existence? Modern explorers live in the delicate intersection of myth and evidence, retracing paths set centuries ago by vanished mapmakers and the societies that preserve their knowledge. The rediscovery of lost cities also reshapes our understanding of human history. Cities once thought isolated, primitive, or mythological reveal networks of trade, agriculture, and culture far more complex than previously believed. Maps, once considered inaccurate or fanciful, are reinterpreted as precise guides encoded with centuries of observation and knowledge. Modern expeditions demonstrate that knowledge of these cities was never entirely lost. It was preserved in fragments, waiting for the tools and perspective to unlock it. Yet, rediscovery does not guarantee permanence. Natural forces, modern development, and even political instability continue to threaten these sites. Rivers shift, forests grow, and rising sea levels can seal settlements once again. Maps and technological scans become crucial not only for discovery, but for preservation. By combining ancient documentation with modern methodology, explorers create a bridge between the past and future, ensuring that cities once vanished from view can leave a lasting imprint on our understanding of human civilization. Ultimately, modern expeditions reaffirm the enduring relevance of vanished cities. They are not simply archaeological curiosities. They're proof that knowledge persists, even when hidden beneath earth, water, or secrecy. Through the convergence of ancient maps, legends, and cutting-edge technology, humanity is beginning to reclaim lost chapters of history. Each rediscovered city tells a story of ingenuity, culture, and survival, reminding us that even in the face of destruction, knowledge can endure, and that the vanished cities of the past are still capable of shaping the present. Maps have always been more than mere tools for navigation. They're coded records of knowledge, revealing what was known, suspected, or deliberately concealed. Throughout history, cartographers occasionally produced maps containing anomalies, coastlines, cities, and landforms that defied conventional geography. These irregularities, whether accidental or intentional, hint at hidden worlds, lost civilizations, or advanced knowledge that was inaccessible or dangerous for mainstream society. One of the most famous examples is the Piri Reis map of 1513. While celebrated for its depiction of the Atlantic coastlines with remarkable accuracy, the map also includes features that have puzzled scholars for centuries. Some sections seem to show the outline of Antarctica long before its documented discovery, yet mapped without ice. Others depict islands and coastlines that do not correspond with any known geography. Are these simply errors, or do they indicate access to older, secret maps now lost to history? The precision of certain details, particularly in areas unexplored at the time, suggests deliberate inclusion rather than guesswork. The Vinland map, purportedly showing Viking explorations of North America, also presents a fascinating anomaly. If authentic, it would predate Columbus by centuries and depict settlements in regions previously assumed to have been uncharted by Europeans. Critics debate its authenticity, yet the very existence of such a map demonstrates how cartographic anomalies can challenge conventional timelines, hinting at knowledge preserved in secrecy or transmitted through unconventional means. Whether accurate or forged, these anomalies provoke essential questions about what our ancestors truly knew about the world. Other maps, including early Chinese, Indian, and Arab charts, contain puzzling features as well. Islands and rivers appear in places now altered by geological shifts, indicating that ancient cartographers may have had access to long-lost records or oral traditions describing vanished landscapes. Some maps even depict cities that cannot yet be located, suggesting settlements that existed but were later destroyed by natural disasters, human conflict, or climate change. These anomalies persist across cultures, hinting at a shared repository of knowledge that transcends geography and era. The presence of hidden worlds in maps often aligns with myth and legend. For instance, medieval European maps sometimes included phantom islands, places like Hy-Brasil or Antillia, which were described in sailor tales but resisted physical verification. While modern analysis can attribute some to navigational errors, repeated appearances across centuries imply a deeper cultural memory of lost or hidden lands. Perhaps these phantom features represent echoes of vanished cities, submerged islands, or territories intentionally concealed to protect knowledge. Cinematic imagination thrives on these anomalies. Picture an explorer in a library, examining a centuries-old chart filled with strange coastlines and symbols. Each irregularity hints at a hidden world, a city lost to memory or erased by natural catastrophe. As the researcher cross-references maps from multiple eras and cultures, patterns begin to emerge. Landforms corroborated by geology, settlements hinted at in oral traditions, celestial alignments suggesting deliberate positioning. The map becomes a puzzle, a portal into a world that exists both on paper and in the shadows of history. Some anomalies are deliberately cryptic. Secret societies, esoteric traditions, and individual mapmakers often encoded information in ways that obscured meaning from the uninitiated. Cities might be represented by symbols, rivers altered to indicate spiritual or moral significance, and coastlines shifted to hide the location of sacred or dangerous sites. These cryptic alterations suggest that some anomalies were not mistakes, but intentional signals, guiding those with the knowledge to uncover hidden truths while keeping the casual observer in the dark. Even in modern times, cartographic anomalies continue to intrigue researchers. Satellite imagery has revealed structures beneath forests, deserts, and shallow seas that correspond to features depicted on centuries-old maps. In some cases, these discoveries confirm the existence of cities, trade routes, and settlements that mainstream history had dismissed. The convergence of ancient anomalies with contemporary technology highlights the enduring significance of these maps. They are not mere curiosities, but keys to understanding lost civilizations and hidden worlds. Moreover, anomalies challenge the way we perceive history itself. They suggest that the world we see today is only a fragment of a far richer, more complex reality. Maps with hidden or erased cities force us to question conventional narratives, to consider that knowledge was preserved selectively, and that civilizations may have risen and fallen in ways deliberately obscured by succeeding cultures. Each anomaly, therefore, is a doorway, an invitation to explore, to question, and to rediscover the hidden layers of our collective past. Ultimately, maps and their anomalies remind us that knowledge is fragile yet enduring. Cities may vanish, continents shift, and oceans swallow the traces of civilization, but the maps, the records of observation, memory, and secrecy, persist. They challenge us to read between the lines, to discern patterns, and to uncover the hidden worlds recorded by those who came before. In these anomalies lie the keys to vanished cities, lost knowledge, and the enduring mystery of human history. Maps, legends, and prophecies provide tantalizing clues, but it is often the physical artifacts and relics that transform speculation into tangible evidence. Across continents, explorers and archaeologists have unearthed objects that corroborate the existence of vanished cities, confirming details recorded centuries ago on maps and in oral histories. These relics, ranging from intricately carved statues to architectural fragments and ceremonial tools, offer a bridge between myth and reality, revealing civilizations that once thrived and then disappeared from mainstream memory. In South America, for example, the discovery of the lost city of Machu Picchu in the early 20th century validated both indigenous oral histories and the scattered accounts of Spanish chroniclers. While the city's location remained hidden for centuries, its eventual discovery revealed terraces, temples, and urban layouts precisely as described in fragments of earlier maps and texts. Artifacts such as ceremonial ceramics, stone carvings, and tools confirmed a sophisticated society, one capable of monumental architecture, advanced agriculture, and complex social organization. These findings transformed legend into verified history, proving that cities once vanished had indeed existed. Similarly, in Central America, the ruins of Caracol and El Mirador reveal elaborate pyramids, plazas, and causeways that align with early colonial maps and indigenous accounts. Artifacts uncovered at these sites, including intricately inscribed stele and ritual objects, indicate not only the presence of large, organized populations, but also a culture deeply intertwined with astronomy, mathematics, and religious practice. These relics suggest that the cities recorded on maps were more than theoretical. They were living, functioning centers of civilization, erased physically but preserved in memory and cartography. Underwater discoveries further strengthen the evidence for hidden cities. Submerged ruins off the coast of Dwarka in India, for example, include stone streets, walls, and foundations that corroborate descriptions in ancient texts. Ceramics, jewelry, and sculpted stones indicate that these were not merely temporary settlements but established urban centers. Similar findings at Yonaguni, Japan, reveal terraces, roads, and structures that some researchers argue were deliberately constructed, confirming the presence of organized societies now lost beneath the waves. In these cases, artifacts provide an irrefutable link between legend, map, and reality. Artifacts also play a crucial role in verifying cartographic anomalies. Maps from the medieval and Renaissance periods often depict cities, rivers, and coastlines that seem non-existent. Excavations in regions indicated by these maps sometimes reveal relics that match historical descriptions, from the remnants of city walls to religious or ceremonial objects. The convergence of material evidence and cartographic representation challenges conventional history, suggesting that lost cities were documented with accuracy, even if their locations were later obscured by natural or human forces. The cinematic allure of artifacts lies in their ability to speak across time. Holding a carved stone tablet, a piece of pottery, or a ceremonial mask connects the modern observer to the hands of those who lived in vanished cities centuries ago. Each relic is a fragment of a story, a testament to human ingenuity, culture, and survival. They transform maps from speculative tools into records of reality, confirming that civilizations described in legend were not mere myths, but actual societies whose memory persisted through material culture. Some artifacts hint at advanced knowledge as well. Precision-cut stones, astronomical alignments in architecture, and complex engineering feats indicate that these civilizations possess skills that rival or even surpass those attributed to contemporary societies. In many cases, relics are accompanied by inscriptions or symbolic representations that mirror elements found on ancient maps, reinforcing the idea that knowledge was deliberately encoded for preservation and transmission. These artifacts reveal not just the existence of vanished cities, but also the sophistication and intent of their inhabitants. Beyond their historical significance, artifacts also carry a conspiratorial allure. Some objects, particularly those tied to secret societies or esoteric traditions, suggest deliberate concealment of knowledge. Sacred relics, ceremonial implements, and coded inscriptions may have been preserved in hidden caches, accessible only to initiates. Such artifacts hint at the possibility that lost cities were not simply forgotten. They were hidden, their treasures and wisdom safeguarded against misuse, awaiting rediscovery by those with the ability to interpret their significance. Modern technology further enhances our ability to connect artifacts with vanished cities. 3D scanning, geospatial analysis, and material testing allow researchers to trace the origin of objects, compare them with descriptions on maps, and reconstruct aspects of lost civilizations. Each artifact becomes a key, unlocking not only the physical reality of a city, but also the culture, knowledge, and practices of its people. By studying these relics, we gain insight into civilizations that defy mainstream history, revealing a hidden world preserved through objects that survived time, catastrophe, and deliberate erasure. Ultimately, artifacts and relics confirm that lost cities were real, tangible, and sophisticated. They validate maps, legends, and prophecies, bridging the gap between myth and history. Each discovery reminds us that vanished cities were not abstract ideas. They were living societies capable of art, science, and ritual, whose traces endure in the objects they left behind. Through these artifacts, we glimpse a past that was deliberately hidden, patiently waiting for modern eyes to recognize and understand its significance. As we examine vanished cities individually, a larger, more compelling pattern begins to emerge. A global network of lost civilizations, mysteriously aligned in location, timing, and cultural sophistication. From the sunken ports of India to the jungle cities of the Americas, and from the submerged terraces of Japan to the forgotten coastal settlements of Europe, these cities share striking similarities that suggest not random disappearance, but an interconnected history deliberately hidden from mainstream understanding. One of the most remarkable aspects of this pattern is the geographic alignment. Many vanished cities appear along coastlines, rivers, and fertile valleys, often at the intersection of trade routes or near sources of natural resources. These locations were not chosen arbitrarily. They were ideal for commerce, agriculture, and strategic defense. Yet, the recurring disappearance of such cities, whether due to rising seas, earthquakes, or other catastrophes, suggests a global vulnerability or a deliberate act that transcended local events. From the coast of Dvarka in India to the legendary Atlantis in the Atlantic, we see cities that flourished, vanished, and were preserved only in legend and maps. Chronology adds another layer of intrigue. While separated by continents, several of these cities appear to have thrived during overlapping periods, often thousands of years before their supposed discovery by modern historians. Radiocarbon dating, stratigraphy, and other archaeological methods reveal that some civilizations existed contemporaneously despite geographic isolation. The Maya in Central America, the Indus Valley cities, and Mediterranean settlements display technological, architectural, and cultural sophistication that often parallels each other. This synchronicity raises profound questions. Did knowledge circulate across continents in antiquity, or were these civilizations independently capable of achieving similar advances? And if so, why were they almost uniformly erased from recorded history? Architectural and urban planning similarities further reinforce the notion of a global pattern. Terraced cities, advanced drainage systems, monumental pyramids, and ceremonial complexes appear across widely separated civilizations. In some cases, cities are oriented according to celestial patterns, solstices, equinoxes, and star alignments, suggesting a shared understanding of astronomy and mathematics. Ancient maps often reflect these orientations, recording precise layouts with incredible accuracy. The recurrence of these features across continents points to more than coincidence. It hints at a shared knowledge base, possibly preserved through oral tradition, lost manuscripts, or esoteric networks spanning civilizations. Trade and cultural exchange may also help explain the global pattern. Archaeological evidence indicates that goods, technologies, and artistic motifs traveled long distances, even in antiquity. Obsidian from Mesoamerica has been found in North America. Exotic minerals from Africa reached Mediterranean ports, and Asian ceramics appear in distant markets. This movement of material culture suggests that information, including the locations and existence of advanced cities, could have traveled along with goods. Ancient maps, preserved through secrecy and tradition, may reflect this global exchange, documenting cities that were later erased from mainstream history. Natural and environmental patterns contribute to the mystery as well. Many vanished cities coincide with areas vulnerable to catastrophic events: earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and rising sea levels. The Mediterranean, South Asia, and the Pacific Rim all show evidence of ancient urban centers destroyed by natural disasters. While some cities may have vanished due to environmental causes, the global recurrence of this phenomenon invites speculation about broader forces at play. Were these disappearances purely coincidental, or did ancient civilizations experience synchronized calamities, recorded only in maps, legend, and relics? The involvement of secret societies and esoteric traditions adds another dimension to the pattern. As explored in previous sections, certain organizations acted as custodians of hidden knowledge, preserving maps, manuscripts, and relics while erasing evidence from public records. The fact that vanished cities appear across continents, yet many remain known only through fragments of preserved knowledge, suggests deliberate curation. Knowledge of advanced cities may have been intentionally obscured to prevent destabilization or misuse, leaving clues scattered across geography, mythology, and cartography for later rediscovery. Modern technology allows us to perceive this pattern more clearly. Satellite imagery, LiDAR, and deep-sea sonar reveal urban layouts, buried roads, and submerged ports that correspond to ancient accounts. Comparing sites across continents uncovers remarkable parallels in design, function, and alignment. Ancient maps, once dismissed as fanciful or inaccurate, now gain credibility as guides to cities that were deliberately hidden, lost to catastrophe, or erased from historical records. The combination of archaeology, technology, and cartography is uncovering a hidden layer of human history, revealing connections once considered impossible. Cultural echoes also reinforce the global pattern. Myths, legends, and oral traditions often describe vanished cities in strikingly similar terms: moral hubris, divine punishment, hidden knowledge, and eventual destruction. Whether it is Atlantis, Iram of the Pillars, or Canargualed, these narratives converge on recurring themes, suggesting that civilizations, despite geographic separation, shared a consciousness of the fragility of urban centers and the importance of preserving knowledge. These echoes may also point to a lost network of communication, trade, or spiritual tradition linking ancient societies worldwide. The cinematic vision of this global pattern is staggering. Imagine a map spanning continents, overlaying vanished cities with modern satellite data, aligning coastlines, rivers, and ancient trade routes. Cities that once flourished in isolation now appear as part of an interconnected network, each disappearance forming a thread in a global tapestry of memory, legend, and deliberate concealment. The pattern suggests that human history is far more complex and interconnected than conventional narratives admit, and that the cities lost to time were part of a larger, coordinated story that remains largely hidden from view. Ultimately, recognizing the global pattern of vanished cities forces us to reconsider the trajectory of human civilization. These cities were not isolated anomalies. They were part of an intricate, interconnected history shaped by knowledge, culture, and the forces of nature. Maps, artifacts, prophecies, and rediscoveries converge to reveal a hidden network of cities once forgotten, preserved in fragments by human effort, environmental circumstance, and deliberate secrecy. Understanding this pattern allows us to glimpse a lost world, complex, advanced, and global, whose secrets challenge the foundations of conventional history and invite us to reconsider the true extent of human achievement. As we reach the final chapter in our exploration of vanished cities, it becomes clear that these lost civilizations are more than archaeological curiosities. They are profound lessons etched into the memory of the earth. They challenge our understanding of history, remind us of the fragility of human achievement, and invite us to consider the ways in which knowledge, culture, and power are preserved or intentionally hidden across centuries. The vanished cities we have explored, from sunken ports and jungle metropolises to cities erased by legend, offer a final reflection on the enduring legacy of human civilization. Perhaps the most striking lesson of vanished cities is the impermanence of even the most advanced societies. Cities that once bustled with commerce, art, and religion, capable of architectural marvels and sophisticated governance, can be erased by natural disasters, climate shifts, or human neglect. Atlantis, Dvarka, Machu Picchu, and countless others illustrate that human achievement is not guaranteed permanence. This impermanence forces a sobering recognition. The monuments and systems we build, no matter how grand, are vulnerable to forces beyond our control. Even the most enduring civilizations can disappear, leaving only maps, artifacts, and stories behind. Yet, in their disappearance lies also a remarkable testament to human memory and ingenuity. Though cities vanish physically, traces survive through maps, artifacts, oral traditions, and cryptic manuscripts. These remnants, carefully preserved by secret societies, indigenous custodians, or simply the resilience of memory itself, allow future generations to reconstruct the past. Knowledge, in this sense, is more resilient than the material structures it documents. Ancient cartographers, priests, and chroniclers may have understood this principle, encoding information in symbols, allegories, and maps to preserve the existence of cities that would otherwise be lost forever. The pattern of vanished cities also raises profound questions about the forces that shape history. Many cities disappeared due to environmental changes, rising seas, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Yet others were deliberately hidden or erased from public record, suggesting that human intent played a role as well. Secret societies, esoteric traditions, and ruling powers often acted as gatekeepers, preserving or concealing knowledge to control access to power, religion, or technology. The interplay between natural catastrophe and deliberate concealment creates a layered history, one that challenges conventional narratives and invites deeper investigation into the forces shaping civilization. Modern rediscoveries of vanished cities further illustrate the importance of curiosity, technology, and persistence. Satellite imagery, LiDAR scanning, underwater archaeology, and meticulous fieldwork have revealed settlements previously considered myth. Artifacts, from ceramics and tools to monumental architecture, corroborate maps, legends, and prophecies. These rediscoveries remind us that lost cities are not merely theoretical. They're tangible proof that human history is far richer, more complex, and more interconnected than conventional accounts suggest. The past, carefully preserved, continues to inform the present. Beyond their historical significance, vanished cities offer philosophical and ethical reflections. They remind us that knowledge is fragile and that the control, preservation, or suppression of information has profound consequences. The secret societies, scholars, and indigenous custodians who protected maps and artifacts acted as stewards of civilization itself. Their choices, what to preserve, what to conceal, and what to encode in allegory, have shaped our understanding of human history. Today, as we uncover these cities, we inherit both the legacy of their knowledge and the responsibility to interpret it wisely, recognizing that some truth were hidden for reasons beyond simple ignorance. Vanished cities also teach us about resilience and adaptation. Societies that disappeared often left behind evidence of innovation. Urban planning, agricultural systems, trade networks, and cultural achievements that continue to inspire. By studying these cities, we learn from both their successes and failures, understanding how civilizations respond to environmental pressures, social challenges, and moral dilemmas. Each vanished city is a mirror, reflecting both human ingenuity and vulnerability, offering lessons for contemporary society about sustainability, governance, and the preservation of knowledge. The cinematic finality of vanished cities lies in their enduring mystery. They remind us that history is not linear, that knowledge can be hidden, lost, or rediscovered, and that the past is filled with complexities still awaiting exploration. As we examine maps, decode prophecies, uncover artifacts, and interpret legends, we engage in a dialogue across time. A conversation with civilizations erased from the physical world but preserved in memory, myth, and material culture. Each discovery is both an end and a beginning, a resolution of one mystery and the opening of countless others. Ultimately, the legacy of vanished cities is both cautionary and inspiring. They caution us against hubris, reminding us that no civilization is invulnerable, and that even the most advanced cities may be swept away by forces beyond control. Yet they inspire us to explore, to question, and to seek knowledge in unexpected places. Maps, artifacts, and legends are not merely records of the past. They are invitations to curiosity, urging us to uncover hidden truths, challenge conventional narratives, and recognize the interconnectedness of human history. As our exploration concludes, we are left with a sense of awe and humility. Vanished cities, though erased from the landscape, continue to shape our understanding of civilization, memory, and human potential. They are testaments to ingenuity, cautionary tales of impermanence, and reminders of the hidden knowledge that persists across time. In studying them, we do not merely reconstruct the past. We engage with a continuum of human experience, one that transcends centuries, continents, and cultures. These cities, though vanished, continue to speak. It is up to us to listen, interpret, and carry forward their enduring lessons. In the end, vanished cities remind us that history is never complete. There are always hidden worlds, lost civilizations, and untold stories awaiting rediscovery. Maps, artifacts, prophecies, and legends are fragments of a greater puzzle, offering glimpses into civilizations that defy conventional timelines. By honoring these fragments, we not only preserve the memory of lost cities, but also acknowledge the complexity, fragility, and beauty of human achievement. The vanished cities are gone, but their legacy endures, shaping our understanding of the past and illuminating the mysteries that still lie ahead.
Even as our journey through maps, artifacts, prophecies, and rediscoveries comes to an apparent conclusion, the story of vanished cities does not end. It evolves. Every excavation, satellite scan, or underwater sonar survey opens new questions, revealing layers of history previously invisible. These cities, long erased from physical landscapes and public memory, continue to challenge the boundaries between legend and reality, history and myth, secrecy and revelation. Their mysteries persist, urging us to look deeper, think broader, and question the assumptions upon which conventional narratives of human civilization are built. One of the most compelling aspects of vanished cities is their ability to defy finality. Even as modern technology uncovers remnants beneath forests, deserts, or oceans, each discovery sparks further intrigue rather than closure. Submerged settlements off the coast of India, hidden Amazonian urban networks, and the ruins of remote Mediterranean ports suggest that the Earth is layered with civilizations yet to be fully understood. These discoveries compel researchers to integrate archaeology, mythology, historical cartography, and environmental science into a holistic approach, blending disciplines in a way previous generations could scarcely imagine. The persistence of these mysteries reminds us that history is not merely a record of events, but a complex tapestry woven from memory, storytelling, and tangible evidence. Maps, often dismissed as inaccurate or fanciful, now gain credibility when cross-referenced with archaeological and environmental data. Ancient manuscripts, oral traditions, and esoteric writings gain renewed significance as they are decoded, revealing astonishingly accurate depictions of vanished cities. The convergence of these sources suggests that humanity's collective memory has preserved knowledge far longer than previously assumed, knowledge that may have been deliberately hidden, protect, or control it. Furthermore, vanished cities illuminate patterns that transcend time and geography. We have seen parallels in architecture, urban planning, and cultural practices across continents, hinting at a global awareness, trade, or shared knowledge in ancient times. Cities appear in clusters along coastlines, rivers, and fertile valleys, often vulnerable to natural forces, yet preserved in maps, legends, or secret records. This global alignment challenges conventional history, suggesting that our understanding of civilization's rise and fall is incomplete, and that some knowledge may have been intentionally obscured by both natural and human forces. Modern technology not only allows us to discover lost cities, but also preserve them for future generations. 3D mapping, virtual reconstructions, and high-resolution imaging capture details that might otherwise vanish beneath time, environmental change, or human activity. In doing so, we can reconstruct urban layouts, ceremonial sites, and cultural artifacts with unprecedented fidelity. Through these efforts, vanished cities transition from myth to tangible, interactive knowledge, offering insights into ancient engineering, social organization, and spiritual practice. Each rediscovery is not merely academic. It is a restoration of human memory, connecting the present to civilizations that existed millennia ago. Yet, the allure of vanished cities extends beyond academic discovery. It resonates profoundly with the imagination. These cities, erased from conventional history, evoke a sense of wonder, curiosity, and even spiritual reflection. Atlantis, Iram of the Pillars, and Canara Gwaled are more than myths. They are symbols of human ambition, ingenuity, and fragility of civilization. Their stories challenge us to contemplate what has been lost, what remains hidden, and what lessons can be drawn from their rise and fall. The cinematic resonance of lost cities lies in their ability to inspire exploration, philosophical reflection, and a deep awareness of our connection to the past. The role of secrecy, encoded knowledge, and custodianship cannot be overstated. Secret societies, religious orders, and indigenous communities have historically acted as stewards of hidden knowledge, preserving maps, manuscripts, and artifacts. Their influence reminds us that the history of vanished cities is as much about what was protected or concealed as what was destroyed. By safeguarding this knowledge, they ensure that humanity retain a link to cities erased from public consciousness, cities that continue to inform modern discovery and inquiry. As we look to the future, the study of vanished cities raises profound questions. What other civilizations remain hidden beneath forests, deserts, and oceans? How much of our history has been lost, altered, or deliberately obscured? What technological or methodological advancements might allow us to uncover these secrets fully? And perhaps most importantly, what ethical responsibilities do we have in preserving, interpreting, and sharing the knowledge of vanished civilizations? These questions underscore the enduring relevance of lost cities, not as static relics of the past, but as living invitations to explore, discover, and reflect. In cinematic terms, the story of vanished cities does not conclude with a single discovery. Each map, artifact, and ruin is part of a continuum, linking past, present, and future. Cities long thought lost continue to inspire researchers, storytellers, and adventurers, reminding us that history is a living, breathing phenomenon. The mysteries of vanished cities are ongoing narratives, evolving with every excavation, every technological breakthrough, and every reinterpretation of ancient records. They remind us that human civilization is both resilient and fragile, capable of incredible achievement, yet always subject to the forces of nature, memory, and secrecy. Ultimately, vanished cities offer a profound meditation on time, memory, and knowledge. They are warnings and inspirations, challenges and invitations. They demonstrate the impermanence of human constructs, the persistence of memory, and the delicate interplay between discovery and concealment. As we conclude this journey, we recognize that these cities, though vanished, continue to shape our understanding of the past, influence the present, and ignite our imagination for the future. The story of lost cities is far from over. It is a continuing saga, beckoning the curious, the persistent, and the daring to uncover the hidden chapters of human history. Vanished cities and their silence speak volumes. They remind us that the world is more complex, interconnected, and mysterious than conventional history often allows. They teach lessons of resilience, caution, and the value of preserved knowledge. And above all, they inspire relentless curiosity, a desire to explore what lies beyond the known, to listen to the echoes of civilizations erased, and to seek truths that endure beyond the boundaries of memory, time, and legend.
As we reach the final chapter in our exploration of vanished cities, it becomes clear that these lost civilizations are more than archaeological curiosities. They are profound lessons etched into the memory of the earth. They challenge our understanding of history, remind us of the fragility of human achievement, and invite us to consider the ways in which knowledge, culture, and power are preserved or intentionally hidden across centuries. The vanished cities we have explored, from sunken ports and jungle metropolises to cities erased by legend, offer a final reflection on the enduring legacy of human civilization. Perhaps the most striking lesson of vanished cities is the impermanence of even the most advanced societies. Cities that once bustled with commerce, art, and religion, capable of architectural marvels and sophisticated governance, can be erased by natural disasters, climate shifts, or human neglect. Atlantis, Dvarka, Machu Picchu, and countless others illustrate that human achievement is not guaranteed permanence. This impermanence forces a sobering recognition. The monuments and systems we build, no matter how grand, are vulnerable to forces beyond our control. Even the most enduring civilizations can disappear, leaving only maps, artifacts, and stories behind. Yet, in their disappearance lies also a remarkable testament to human memory and ingenuity. Though cities vanish physically, traces survive through maps, artifacts, oral traditions, and cryptic manuscripts. These remnants, carefully preserved by secret societies, indigenous custodians, or simply the resilience of memory itself, allow future generations to reconstruct the past. Knowledge, in this sense, is more resilient than the material structures it documents. Ancient cartographers, priests, and chroniclers may have understood this principle, encoding information in symbols, allegories, and maps to preserve the existence of cities that would otherwise be lost forever. The pattern of vanished cities also raises profound questions about the forces that shape history. Many cities disappeared due to environmental changes, rising seas, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Yet others were deliberately hidden or erased from public record, suggesting that human intent played a role as well. Secret societies, esoteric traditions, and ruling powers often acted as gatekeepers, preserving or concealing knowledge to control access to power, religion, or technology. The interplay between natural catastrophe and deliberate concealment creates a layered history, one that challenges conventional narratives and invites deeper investigation into the forces shaping civilization. Modern rediscoveries of vanished cities further illustrate the importance of curiosity, technology, and persistence. Satellite imagery, LiDAR scanning, underwater archaeology, and meticulous fieldwork have revealed settlements previously considered myth. Artifacts, from ceramics and tools to monumental architecture, corroborate maps, legends, and prophecies. These rediscoveries remind us that lost cities are not merely theoretical. They're tangible proof that human history is far richer, more complex, and more interconnected than conventional accounts suggest. The past, carefully preserved, continues to inform the present. Beyond their historical significance, vanished cities offer philosophical and ethical reflections. They remind us that knowledge is fragile and that the control, preservation, or suppression of information has profound consequences. The secret societies, scholars, and indigenous custodians who protected maps and artifacts acted as stewards of civilization itself. Their choices, what to preserve, what to conceal, and what to encode in allegory, have shaped our understanding of human history. Today, as we uncover these cities, we inherit both the legacy of their knowledge and the responsibility to interpret it wisely, recognizing that some truths were hidden for reasons beyond simple ignorance. Vanished cities also teach us about resilience and adaptation. Societies that disappeared often left behind evidence of innovation. Urban planning, agricultural systems, trade networks, and cultural achievements that continue to inspire. By studying these cities, we learn from both their successes and failures, understanding how civilizations respond to environmental pressures, social challenges, and moral dilemmas. Each vanished city is a mirror, reflecting both human ingenuity and vulnerability, offering lessons for contemporary society about sustainability, governance, and the preservation of knowledge. The cinematic finality of vanished cities lies in their enduring mystery. They remind us that history is not linear, that knowledge can be hidden, lost, or rediscovered, and that the past is filled with complexities still awaiting exploration. As we examine maps, decode prophecies, uncover artifacts, and interpret legends, we engage in a dialogue across time. A conversation with civilizations erased from the physical world but preserved in memory, myth, and material culture. Each discovery is both an end and a beginning, a resolution of one mystery and the opening of countless others. Ultimately, the legacy of vanished cities is both cautionary and inspiring. They caution us against hubris, reminding us that no civilization is invulnerable, and that even the most advanced cities may be swept away by forces beyond control. Yet they inspire us to explore, to question, and to seek knowledge in unexpected places. Maps, artifacts, and legends are not merely records of the past. They are invitations to curiosity, urging us to uncover hidden truths, challenge conventional narratives, and recognize the interconnectedness of human history. As our exploration concludes, we are left with a sense of awe and humility. Vanished cities, though erased from the landscape, continue to shape our understanding of civilization, memory, and human potential. They are testaments to ingenuity, cautionary tales of impermanence, and reminders of the hidden knowledge that persists across time. In studying them, we do not merely reconstruct the past. We engage with a continuum of human experience, one that transcends centuries, continents, and cultures. These cities, though vanished, continue to speak. It is up to us to listen, interpret, and carry forward their enduring lessons. In the end, vanished cities remind us that history is never complete. There are always hidden worlds, lost civilizations, and untold stories awaiting rediscovery. Maps, artifacts, prophecies, and legends are fragments of a greater puzzle, offering glimpses into civilizations that defy conventional timelines. By honoring these fragments, we not only preserve the memory of lost cities, but also acknowledge the complexity, fragility, and beauty of human achievement. The vanished cities are gone, but their legacy endures, shaping our understanding of the past and illuminating the mysteries that still lie ahead.
Even as our journey through maps, artifacts, prophecies, and rediscoveries comes to an apparent conclusion, the story of vanished cities does not end. It evolves. Every excavation, satellite scan, or underwater sonar survey opens new questions, revealing layers of history previously invisible. These cities, long erased from physical landscapes and public memory, continue to challenge the boundaries between legend and reality, history and myth, secrecy and revelation. Their mysteries persist, urging us to look deeper, think broader, and question the assumptions upon which conventional narratives of human civilization are built. One of the most compelling aspects of vanished cities is their ability to defy finality. Even as modern technology uncovers remnants beneath forests, deserts, or oceans, each discovery sparks further intrigue rather than closure. Submerged settlements off the coast of India, hidden Amazonian urban networks, and the ruins of remote Mediterranean ports suggest that the Earth is layered with civilizations yet to be fully understood. These discoveries compel researchers to integrate archaeology, mythology, historical cartography, and environmental science into a holistic approach, blending disciplines in a way previous generations could scarcely imagine. The persistence of these mysteries reminds us that history is not merely a record of events, but a complex tapestry woven from memory, storytelling, and tangible evidence. Maps, often dismissed as inaccurate or fanciful, now gain credibility when cross-referenced with archaeological and environmental data. Ancient manuscripts, oral traditions, and esoteric writings gain renewed significance as they are decoded, revealing astonishingly accurate depictions of vanished cities. The convergence of these sources suggests that humanity's collective memory has preserved knowledge far longer than previously assumed, knowledge that may have been deliberately hidden, protect, or control it. Furthermore, vanished cities illuminate patterns that transcend time and geography. We have seen parallels in architecture, urban planning, and cultural practices across continents, hinting at a global awareness, trade, or shared knowledge in ancient times. Cities appear in clusters along coastlines, rivers, and fertile valleys, often vulnerable to natural forces, yet preserved in maps, legends, or secret records. This global alignment challenges conventional history, suggesting that our understanding of civilization's rise and fall is incomplete, and that some knowledge may have been intentionally obscured by both natural and human forces. Modern technology not only allows us to discover lost cities, but also preserve them for future generations. 3D mapping, virtual reconstructions, and high-resolution imaging capture details that might otherwise vanish beneath time, environmental change, or human activity. In doing so, we can reconstruct urban layouts, ceremonial sites, and cultural artifacts with unprecedented fidelity. Through these efforts, vanished cities transition from myth to tangible, interactive knowledge, offering insights into ancient engineering, social organization, and spiritual practice. Each rediscovery is not merely academic. It is a restoration of human memory, connecting the present to civilizations that existed millennia ago. Yet, the allure of vanished cities extends beyond academic discovery. It resonates profoundly with the imagination. These cities, erased from conventional history, evoke a sense of wonder, curiosity, and even spiritual reflection. Atlantis, Iram of the Pillars, and Canara Gwaled are more than myths. They are symbols of human ambition, ingenuity, and fragility of civilization. Their stories challenge us to contemplate what has been lost, what remains hidden, and what lessons can be drawn from their rise and fall. The cinematic resonance of lost cities lies in their ability to inspire exploration, philosophical reflection, and a deep awareness of our connection to the past. The role of secrecy, encoded knowledge, and custodianship cannot be overstated. Secret societies, religious orders, and indigenous communities have historically acted as stewards of hidden knowledge, preserving maps, manuscripts, and artifacts. Their influence reminds us that the history of vanished cities is as much about what was protected or concealed as what was destroyed. By safeguarding this knowledge, they ensure that humanity retain a link to cities erased from public consciousness, cities that continue to inform modern discovery and inquiry. As we look to the future, the study of vanished cities raises profound questions. What other civilizations remain hidden beneath forests, deserts, and oceans? How much of our history has been lost, altered, or deliberately obscured? What technological or methodological advancements might allow us to uncover these secrets fully? And perhaps most importantly, what ethical responsibilities do we have in preserving, interpreting, and sharing the knowledge of vanished civilizations? These questions underscore the enduring relevance of lost cities, not as static relics of the past, but as living invitations to explore, discover, and reflect. In cinematic terms, the story of vanished cities does not conclude with a single discovery. Each map, artifact, and ruin is part of a continuum, linking past, present, and future. Cities long thought lost continue to inspire researchers, storytellers, and adventurers, reminding us that history is a living, breathing phenomenon. The mysteries of vanished cities are ongoing narratives, evolving with every excavation, every technological breakthrough, and every reinterpretation of ancient records. They remind us that human civilization is both resilient and fragile, capable of incredible achievement, yet always subject to the forces of nature, memory, and secrecy. Ultimately, vanished cities offer a profound meditation on time, memory, and knowledge. They are warnings and inspirations, challenges and invitations. They demonstrate the impermanence of human constructs, the persistence of memory, and the delicate interplay between discovery and concealment. As we conclude this journey, we recognize that these cities, though vanished, continue to shape our understanding of the past, influence the present, and ignite our imagination for the future. The story of lost cities is far from over. It is a continuing saga, beckoning the curious, the persistent, and the daring to uncover the hidden chapters of human history. Vanished cities and their silence speak volumes. They remind us that the world is more complex, interconnected, and mysterious than conventional history often allows. They teach lessons of resilience, caution, and the value of preserved knowledge. And above all, they inspire relentless curiosity, a desire to explore what lies beyond the known, to listen to the echoes of civilizations erased, and to seek truths that endure beyond the boundaries of memory, time, and legend.